Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we get to the heart of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Gerald Christopher Sparky Porter.
And we are honored to be joined again today by our old friend Jamie Benning, creator of Filmymentaries for Jaws, Raiders, Star Wars, and many other great movies. Welcome, Jamie.
Thanks for having me back. It's good to be back.
Yeah, we last saw you, I guess technically like at Omar's Garage or something?
Yes.
Or maybe even like by the
yeah,
B2
that's
Wind?
right. Yeah.
Oh, I almost don't want to talk to you because you were there when we discovered the toad scarecrow.
Yes, yeah.
It still puts my stomach in knots.
All that time ago.
But thanks for being here. You haven't done a Filmymentary for Temple of Doom, have you?
No, do you know what, though? In doing some research for the podcast, I kind of thought, why? Why haven't I done it for Temple of Doom?
Oh,
I'll tell you why.
Jared has an entire thesis about why no one should do something like that.
No. I would love it if you did a Filmymentary for this movie. I think
That would be awesome.
There's
Yeah,
so much behind the scenes going on with this movie and so much in depth. It seems like there's almost as much here, maybe more than even in Raiders you could pull out.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah. In
Although I
fact,
feel like if you did it, we'd have to go back and do the whole show again because we'd have realized all the stuff we missed.
In fact, I realised this was the movie that kind of got me interested in behind-the-scenes stuff as well as Return of the Jedi, because there was a TV special over here in the UK. I may have aired in the US under a different name, but it was called How to Film the Impossible.
Oh, wow.
And showed stuff about 2001 and about Star Wars and about Temple of Doom, and there was some on-set footage, and it was like, wow, this is incredible.
Wow.
You know? This is what I want to do. I didn't manage it, but
Well, I'll
awesome.
give you a hint. Harrison Ford hurts his back, and
All the other dominoes just collapse.
yeah. The rest of the
There you
movie's
go.
the back of a stuntman's head. Yeah.
Right. But he looks great.
yeah. And Chadalal goes, "Say, I thought." There you go.
All right, well, let's get into this. We're here for minute 83, and minute 83 begins with Adventure changing its name to Short Round.
Yes.
And it ends with Willie in her cage being lowered into the lava pit.
Well, Pete, you'll enjoy this. The very, very beginning of this minute, I'm reminded of the famous Winchester Mansion in San Jose, California, because we have like a hole I guess in the ceiling, which is a possible entrance or exit with a rope dangling through. And you're like, for what?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
That is a
It
really
reminds
good
me of
question.
the Winchester Mansion is famous for all these doors that open into walls and staircases
Yeah.
that lead nowhere or lead into a ceiling.
Oh, that's
or,
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, like a door that opens and just falls 2 stories.
Weird.
Yeah,
In the eventuality that a fundamentalist group rises up there, you can escape. That's why.
Right.
That's right.
That should be the first thing that the bad guys get rid of, is that rope.
Which
Maybe
is what
that's
I
just-
was...
That's just taunting everybody. It's just like, see the rope? You can only reach.
You'll never get hit.
Well, Tom, you mentioned this earlier. I think yesterday's minute. Did Short Round have a plan? Like, did he see the hole in the ceiling and the rope dangling from it? He's like, I need to get up there. Oh, and there's the ladder to do it.
Yeah, it's hard to, I can't remember now if there was any moment of him like looking up and he sees the hole or anything like that. He just seems to be running for his life and just trying to get away from the guards and stuff.
See,
And
I think
goes
he
up
had
the
this
ladder.
planned out because when
I think so too,
because he
yeah.
takes off running with that pack and he's got a definite sense of purpose. Like I think he
Okay.
knows where he's going and what he needs to do. Because
Yeah.
he had the presence of mind to grab the pack and he probably had to loot, their storage room for that. So I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's just not
So-
clear to the audience until it happens.
So he's not like Indy.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, he's
he's not
what
like
Indy could
Indy's.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it could be a through that wall sort of moment, like short round. Where are you going? Through that, up through that hole in the ceiling.
Yeah.
I can
he
imagine
sees it, but no one else knows what he's doing yet.
I can imagine the conversation with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, like, okay, George, you've done a swing across a chasm. Okay, Steven, you've done a descent down a rope into a temple. Let's combine the two, but this time we're going up. It's a hell of a stunt, actually. And,
It's amazing.
It is.
but there's one shot of it. It doesn't. There's no close up. I guess that must have been Felix Silla, the Italian little guy, who was the
maybe.
stuntman on. I think he was the double, and he worked on Poltergeist and E.T. previously for Spielberg, and went on to be in Howard of the Duck and The Golden Child, another classic.
Oh wow! All the greats.
So there's his big stunt, and it lasts 12 frames, and and
It's
it's
a
from
lot
a
like
long
the
shot.
Star Wars chasm swing with Luke and Leia. That's just like one quick shot and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's I forget. Did we say this before? Is that that's the hole that Indy looks down through when he finally finds the whole mining kid operation? Right?
I don't
looks
know.
like it is.
That's a really, really good point. I
When you
was
see-
wondering because
when you see Shorty climbing up through it, it seems like the same view from below. And I can't believe that
does,
they would
actually.
build like 2 extra holes, like looking
You're
down
right.
on the thing.
I'm just looking at it. It looks like the exact same view now when Shorty's looking back down.
Yeah.
wow, that's really smart. But what I couldn't put together is when you look up through the hole, up towards the hole, it's all red coming through there, which made me think it was maybe connected to that Jaws cave thing because it was so red.
Yeah. Well,
coming
the
through
temple's
there.
very
but,
red.
Yeah.
But maybe I guess it's the altar.
Or it's like the room behind the altar. It's like where because then he walked behind the altar and then he came to this hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you walk behind the altar and then you climb some stairs and go back up into that Jaws cave and then you look down.
It's kind of weird though. They later show Shorty in a hallway though that's not red at all.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And doesn't he come in? It's hard to tell where things are on the.
He
on
comes
like
in
the sort of
behind the
dais.
altar.
Yeah.
Like he comes in from behind because he kind of comes out behind where the that winch hoist thing is.
Yeah, which does not. I don't think that's where Indy went when he was following the kids' screams and stuff, and finally found that hole in the mine and everything. I feel like he went to the stage left of Kali.
Well, he went to there's a door next to Kali
Yeah,
that he walked through.
Maybe
This
it's all,
place is
that's
like
what
the
it's
Overlook Hotel. Nothing really links together.
No, it is.
doing. Yeah,
I don't care how many John Brugan posted maps I look at on the Listener's Crusade. I never understand how this Temple of Doom / mine combo works.
yeah.
I love it so much. Though. Like when Shorty gets to the top there, it reminds me so much of Indy. Like when he dives off the Bantu wind and he comes up on the submarine and like everybody
Yeah.
cheers and salutes. Like I get that same feeling.
Yeah,
And even
yeah.
the music's even kind of similar because all the kids are cheering. And it's
Goddamn
like,
hero.
yeah, the smile on his face is just pure joy. That's like every kid's dream. Like he's saving the day. All the other kids are like, oh, this kid's the hero.
I'm gonna try that.
He's
I
looking off.
have second 14. Shorty so pleased with himself. Pete so pleased with himself. That's Pete's favorite part of the movie is that shot of Shorty smiling after he's jumped up through that rope.
He's looking off camera at his brother, saying, "You couldn't have done this."
Psych. This is why I got the short round magic and you don't. Do you think he's thinking too that finally I lost my elephant, but now I've got thousands of new best friends. All these kids love me.
Aw.
Well, I got a question about all those best friends. So is the fact that they're all smiling and cheering proof that they have not drunk the Kool-Aid? Or do you think they just don't have enough dark impulses in them yet that it's had an effect?
See, I don't think. Well, we should before we start fighting amongst ourselves. Let's ask our kind and intelligent guest, Jamie, what he thinks. Do you think we were debating back and forth whether every single slave kid in the place has drunk the Kool-Aid, the Kali blood, and is a zombie or not?
I don't think they would need to be whipped if they drunk it already.
That's what I keep coming back to. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Or
they're
like
waiting.
have chains even and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. They'd be zombified and doing whatever they're told to do. But here
See,
they're having to be coaxed into doing it.
I would agree with that, except, and this is where the movie is very confusing, they keep showing scenes that contradict other scenes and other themes. For instance, they specifically show the kid in the aerial prison, or the where he says, if you drink it, you become like them. And he points to a whole beehive of kids below that are he doesn't say if you drink it you become like that guy right there.
Yeah. Right.
He says you become like them, just
That's true. It's really vague.
zombified drones.
Yeah.
Working. And so I would agree with both of you guys that the kids are just sort of beaten into submission here, except that the one kid explains it.
Yeah. But he explains it weird.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just half cut, they're just they're on their way to being Carly drunk.
Yeah.
Or somebody mentioned, I think maybe Tom, you mentioned maybe the Kool-Aid wears off.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe they've drunk it, and the thing that it does is it just makes you love any kind of mayhem and destruction, and they think Shorty's about to go unleash a bunch of that.
Right. Well, I feel bad for the kids when they're all cheering and stuff because that one kid, short round, got away. But I imagine that they're going to get it like tenfold from the guards now. Like the guards aren't going to be like, "Oh, you kids, you won this round." They're just going to go to town on those poor guys.
I think with the growing list of grim things happening in this film, maybe George and Stephen couldn't bring themselves to discuss whether the kids were tanked up or not.
I'm prepared. I'm with you, Tom. I'm prepared. The guards are just going to pour gasoline all over the kids and light them on fire now.
Oh, you having a good time? Take this.
Exactly.
The director's cut, yeah.
Exactly. So the movie's so brutal as it is.
Ah, you like a PG-13? Have some gasoline, Scarecrow. Back in the temple, Willie's getting spun into place, and there's that overhead shot where you see her hanging over the trapdoor as it's opening, and it sort of accentuates like what I don't get about the whole lava thing, because there's a huge open pit of lava, but then they have this trap door for the lava, and so I don't get why they have to have the whole although
it's the ceremony of it all.
Yeah.
I guess so. Was it easier, like when Indy is locking her into the cage, is he standing on the trap door?
Yeah.
Is it just as simple as like the cage is right over where the trap door is? So like it'd be harder to make the cage go out over the open pit and be easier to make a trap door over this other pit? I don't know.
Maybe because in the video game, you have to walk across the trap door and time it. So you are standing on the trap door.
I never got that far in the video game.
Me neither. I gave up after like,
That was a hard game. Yeah,
That may have been like...
I was going to say with my behind the scenes head on here, all I can think of in this scene is that you can hear the ignition of a lightsaber as the doors open.
It's Darth Vader's lightsaber from
Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back. Yeah,
It is. Yeah.
Wow.
wait, literally?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it's
Wow.
and it's not just that. It's like when you hear it ignited, you see the doors start to spread across, and it looks like a red lightsaber. Like it's a red rectangular
God.
shape.
Is that just Ben Burt being like, hey, that looks like a lightsaber? I wanna have fun. That's awesome.
But the whole thing, this whole minute is a Han Solo special because Willie's saying, "Wake up, Willie, wake up," and I think that's his subconscious, like trying to get his attention.
Yeah.
I have on that line. I mean, to any of you guys, I mean, if you're ever having a nightmare, does that ever work for you?
No, never. No.
I mean, has anybody ever been, dreaming and you can wake yourself up from a bad dream?
It doesn't work in real life, and it doesn't work in Nightmare on Elm Street. It never works.
It's a strange. I don't know. I guess she's trying.
Yeah.
Do you know, for years I didn't even spot the lava on the right-hand side there as we see the overhead shot.
Yeah.
I think I was watching it in a bad pan and scan version for most of my life.
Oh, me too.
That's Bridal Veil Falls.
Yeah, so today I was talking to Brian Muir, who was one of the sculptors of the Ark of the Covenant and worked on the Star Wars movies, and he worked on Temple of Doom as well. And not only did he cast the Kali statue in polystyrene, he was also doing some stuff with the lava. He was carving symbols and lettering in the lava with another
God.
sculptor.
Wow.
Apparently, the
Whoa.
crew then started asking if they could put their names into it. So they added the
Whoa.
names of the crew, but mainly backwards, so it wasn't too obvious to Spielberg. And they
Wait, like
made
in the
the
molten lava? Like
Yeah.
in the pouring molten... Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
That's hysterical.
I sort of clarified this a couple of times because I was like, how? But apparently they would form the lava with wood covered in chicken wire, and then bonding plaster was spread onto it. Presumably that's the malleable bit. And Brian and his colleague Keith Short then carved these symbols and letters in with chisels into the lava flow, which
God.
I'm still trying to work out. But yeah, I clarified it about 2 or 3 times because I thought, really, is this possible? And I'm watching the clip backwards and forwards. I don't think there's ever a
that's
point where
awesome.
you would notice that, but it's great to know that these little bits are in there because obviously you know that these films are just full of these little in jokes and.
Right.
Yeah,
3PO
that's awesome.
and R2. In fact, he would have been one of the people who put 3PO and R2, and the hieroglyphs as well.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
We have, I mean, in a related note, we have Indy's standing next to a giant rock here, and it's a beautiful shot of this
Yeah.
beautiful ancient carving, which is the Brahmi script, which is actually archaeologically correct. This is what the ancient, like in ancient India, there was the famous Emperor Ashoka. He if you've ever been to India, they have all these stone pillars across the country that were his original boundary markers, and he's basically the guy that wound up taking back a lot of the land that Alexander the Great had conquered and put these pillars up. And they said that he invented the writing system of ancient India, and that was this on the stone.
Oh, wow.
I was wondering what that was. It's like to Indy's left. There's a huge
Yeah.
sort of ornamental rock. Yeah, wow, that's amazing.
And it's a real script. I don't know what it says, but like they
It
did
says,
some
buy
someone
lots
did some
of
homework.
Indiana Jones Happy Meals at McDonald's.
It's a cheat code for the game.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it says "Fuck Alexander the Great." Well, Jamie, you talked about the sort of lava falls, the Bridal Veil Falls there, and I never noticed that before either. And what's interesting, it seems like there's something. For some reason, I feel like that's, that lava fall serves a function. Like it's not just ornamental or like this is beautiful or like helps with the feng shui of the temple. I mean, I feel like there's got to be a reason that that's there, and I'm wondering for what.
It's the underfloor heating system.
There you go.
Serves the spa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Warms
Yeah,
everything.
maybe. Well, I mean, yeah, maybe that's the way they make sure that it's a nice and cozy year round.
Well,
in the
speaking
temple,
of
I guess.
Speaking of the pan and scan nature that, yeah, a lot of us probably watched this movie for years and years after it came out in the theaters. Like I was saying, Jamie, that like I have zero memory of that somewhat, I guess, famous shot of Indiana Jones looking at the sculpture of the snake and kind of like, tipping his hat to it and stuff. I have zero memory of that, and I'm wondering if that was because of pan and scan too. Like they both just didn't fit in the frame, so they just cut to Indiana Jones or something. Do you remember that shot from?
I don't. There were some lazy pan and scans actually back then. I had a look at some when I was doing my Empire Filmymentaries, and you'd see the frame would scan across the widescreen frame to show a particular actor delivering a line, and then it would stay there for the next 10 minutes. They wouldn't scan back. We were missing all sorts of good stuff. I remember when these first came out on widescreen, and I ran and bought the VHS, and it was a whole new world.
Oh, totally.
It was an extra third of the picture practically.
Yeah, I specifically remember that with Empire, like snow speeders that weren't there, and the hologram of the Imperial guy, like their ship gets hit by an asteroid, so his thing fizzles out.
Yeah,
like, I never saw that guy before. Yeah,
no, exactly.
Did you notice, Jamie, that the snake moves?
Oh my god.
No, do you know?
After-
I heard you talking about this, and I had never noticed that. And I must
I
have
still
seen
have
this.
no explanation for that.
Yeah, I liked your linking back to the the idol with the eyes.
Oh, the eyes.
Sure,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
the best we
was.
can
It's
do
like-
so far.
Did
Yeah.
Kate Capshaw scream once, and the sound guys just keep punching it in, like the exact same scream?
It's a good
She
scream.
had to be taught to scream, didn't she? Apparently,
Yeah.
Spielberg.
But
taught her
it
how
sounds
to
like
do
she
it.
had to be taught to scream once.
Yeah,
Like, it is a great scream, but I feel like we've heard the scream 7 or 8 times. Like, the
Yeah.
identical scream.
Yeah.
I showed my kids this movie for the first time, fast forwarding through certain points that I'd forgotten about because I'm so used to seeing the pan and scan British cut where nobody reaches in to grab a heart, for instance.
Right.
And they had this question of, well, why did they leave her behind when Indian Short Round first sort of break into the secret entrance? Why did they leave her behind? I was like, oh yeah, the women don't get left behind in movies anymore. And then later on it was, why is she always screaming? The guys never scream.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, you're used to the future. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that is such a great scream, and it's sort of instantly recognizable, and that's what makes it a little bit. It's like, oh, that's the exact same scream, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I want a lazy bell. I want a lazy bell.
All right, there you go.
As a matter of fact, you know what? Can I get an alternate lazy bell to show
can
that
work on
even without a $20 million budget,
Jimmy, we need an alternate lazy bell. See what we can do.
it's still easy for us to use different sounds? Like, maybe they could have used different screams.
Right. I mean, you feel horrible for her. She's about to be sacrificed, but you hear that scream, you want to be like, shut up, Lily.
get her in there. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of recycling.
You do get an interesting sound, though, like after the Darth Vader lightsaber and after the trap door opens, you also get like a lion roaring sound.
Yeah,
Like when the doors
I
lock
noticed.
open.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. The kind of stony, guttural
Yeah.
growl, yeah. That's great. I'm still just looking at her face. Her face as she first, like, as the doors open up and she's screaming the first time, that's a really, really good horror face. That's
Oh,
like,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
she's terrified.
Yeah.
And you
feel-
just see
yeah.
the light change on her face, and so you know what she's seeing, even though you don't see it. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and she looks beautiful.
Oh, well.
That was apparently glycerin. That was glycerin swirling around down there.
Oh, was it really?
Okay.
Yeah, they tried with all sorts of different liquids apparently, and they couldn't get the scale quite right. You know, the shot of the guy being lowered in earlier from the side. They
Yeah.
tried it with water and alcohol and all sorts of things, but they couldn't get the scale right. Apparently, the puppet of Willie and of the other guy being lowered in were about 3 feet tall
Oh, wow.
because the scale of the liquid just didn't look right in any other way.
Oh,
So
weird.
they apparently they made about 30 to 40 attempts at that shot as well.
Wow.
Before they
Wow.
got it right.
Wow.
Yeah, supposedly fluids are supposed to be really hard. Like it's hard. Like I remember, I remember from the Ghostbusters commentary track that I don't know why I remember that from that, but that the water doesn't miniaturize. Like you
Yeah.
have to use something
Yeah.
other than water.
Yeah.
Or other fluids. Yeah.
It reminds me of the swirling galaxy at the end of Empire Strikes Back a little bit. You know, it looks like that same sort of
Oh, yeah.
technique has been used.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's all I have for 83. Does anybody else have anything for 83?
One thing I've got at the end of this minute, you have a gorgeous shot of the Maharaja just sitting completely serenely while there's bedlam all around him. And I think it's an amazing shot. And we recently had a couple people on our Facebook group, the Listeners Crusade, raise an interesting question. I was curious what you guys thought of it. Samuel asked if the Maharaja is so young because the Thuggee killed his predecessor. Like maybe they just,
All right.
And then
Yeah.
Carl asked, and the same thing, if Larry might not be the Maharaja's predecessor.
Oh,
And I was curious, like,
Oh.
is it possible the Maharaja just doesn't stick around very long? It's a temporary position, and then he gets sent down into the lava, and they just bring the next kid up.
Could be.
huh?
Seems like a lot of work.
It does seem
It
like
does.
a
I
lot of
just
work.
stick with
does
somebody.
Yeah, I mean, raises a good. I mean, I assume like the Maharaj is underwriting this whole Temple of Doom startup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of, he's financing the whole thing. But in that case, I mean, if that's a, ephemeral position, then who's really running it? Or at least who's financing it? I don't know.
Well, is it a question of
I-
he has to follow? If he doesn't follow the rules, they're just going to take him out. Like he's just a complete figurehead.
I was just wondering at the very end of this minute, we see the congregants kind of going, the Temple of Doom congregants going nuts. And when you consider the Kali statue's ornamental skirt of arms, and then we look out and, throughout all the Temple of Doom parishioners, I see a lot of people that have both of their arms. And I would just imagine a lot more limbless people, or at the very least, maybe some teamwork, some left arm people, getting together with some right arm people to,
Sure.
Join forces in the collective double arm
That's where that
swings.
phrase came from. Use it or lose it.
Yeah, they're waving. They're presenting their arms there, aren't they?
Yeah, the left arms are from people who weren't quite
They didn't show enough
chanting enough. They
enthusiasm.
weren't into it enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not going to use your arm, I'll take it.
And we'll just adorn Kali
Yeah.
with it.
I keep imagining the David Tomlin, assistant director, saying that, those who look the most demonically possessed, can you come to the front? These guys, you couldn't
You
get the eyes
crazy eyes, come
more
over
wide, could you? Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm getting something coming in here.
Oh, that's weird. Boost your game.
This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Wake up, Willie. I think I've got something to say to you. I think that's meant to be sung. You know what? I think Professor Christy Porter is losing it.
I think she is. I think she's having a hard time. I think we're asking too much of her.
She's just throwing stuff out.
I think she got into the bug juice a little early today.
She totally did.
It's starting to sound like we just locked her in a closet with a VCR, and she just has to watch this and send us messages.
It's like she has, quote, office hours.
Right. Stuck her in there with a telegraph machine. Poor kid.
Telegraph machine.
Well, now that we've tortured Christy Porter enough, I think we're ready to move on. But Jamie, tell everybody where they can find you and your Filmymentaries, because they should.
Thank you. Filmymentaries.com or on Facebook. Just type in Filmymentaries. Have a go at spelling it. It'll probably work. There's a whole bunch of stuff. I think about 5 days worth of footage was watched the other day on my channel, so by
nice.
all the viewers. So that was May the 4th, actually.
Very good.
So yeah, there's a bunch of indie stuff to check out.
Yeah, and we should explain that, your Filmymentaries are basically, you start watching, say, Star Wars, but it gets sort of enhanced along the way with behind-the-scenes stuff and subtitles and video of behind-the-scenes things and explanations, and it's extremely, it's like the full experience. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Yeah, I really should do another one soon. I've spent too long courting the studios and getting close to getting a studio one done, and then it all collapsing like a flan in a cupboard. And maybe I should tackle Temple of Doom.
Oh, that would be
That'd be
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, Pete, where can people find us to see our Temple of Doom stuff that already exists?
Well, come join our Facebook group, Indiana Jones Minute Listeners Crusade, where you can talk about all of this stuff. And I highly recommend you join Jamie's Filmymentary Facebook group. They've had so much great behind-the-scenes Star Wars footage in the last few months, including Chewbacca talking to Han Solo in a Cockney accent. That is just priceless. That I watched probably 100 times. But lots of stuff I've never seen or heard of before. It's just Jamie has this great talent of pulling it out, and definitely follow him.
And please come and join us tomorrow for minute 84 of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Hey, Pete. I'll give you $1 if you can do that Willie scream.
No!
All right, get into his PayPal, give him $1.
There are 5 dogs at my front door. What's going on?